Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for my client Garrett's vlogs. And at this point, Garrett's pretty much closing in on being an advanced lifter. I don't want to put him there just yet, but he's closing in. So his bench is of course coming along the slowest, so we're reducing his overall non-chest pressing volume to try to help with the recovery. And we've talked about, if we have to, pulling the overhead press so that we can focus on his bench. And it's not about doing more benching, it's about him being able to actually recover. So his bench went okay though. That was 220 and he got 7 reps on his plus set. So again, we're keeping the training maxes fairly conservative on increasing on the bench because, again, if we look at the other lifts on the 5+ week, they're obviously higher. But he knows that the bench is his weakest lift. He knows that his pecs are, his smallest muscle group. He knows they're lagging. And, bench has been a real fight for him. So I'm kind of at a point where, because he has great delts, to where if this doesn't increase faster this block, I'll pull his overhead press completely. I'll pull his shoulder workout completely and focus on benching and chest pressing, because everything else is climbing. So squats, new training max set, he came in and got 12 reps on the 5+ week. All right, he got 12 reps. His squat strength is blowing up. All right, and his squat was his weakest lift and his bench behind it. We've got his squat coming along, and it's very simple how we're doing it. We're just doing, a simple 5-3-1 type template with boring but big for squats, and then we do goblet squats after. And for him, combined with eating, that's been enough to drive his squat up. We're at a point where, by next training cycle, he'll be easily repping 315 for work sets. Right, that's where he'll be, and that's where we want him. The goal is to get him to a 400 squat. And for taller, lankier guys, it's a little harder. His deadlift, of course, is coming along very well. He is definitely closing in on a 500 deadlift. But even then, with the squats today, this was something like 290. I believe, and he got 12 reps. And then he does his 5x10 back off. Just like on the bench day, we do 5 sets of 10 back off work on the bench, and then he does dumbbell presses and he does pull-ups. Right, his squat day, we do back squats, and we do our assistance work is the back off work, which you guys can see on the sheets. I get people who ask me sometimes stuff about the programming, and I show you guys the sheets for the week at the start. If you really want to know the numbers, just pause the screen. Pause the screen, take a snapshot, and look at it. Right? You might need to be on a bigger device than your phone, but it's all there. So he does that. He does goblet squats, and then we do hanging leg raises. Again, this is more than sufficient. I'll go so far as to say a lot of advanced lifters, your squat would go up if you did exactly what we do here every week. All right? I would say that a lot of people out there in a 400 squat could ease up towards a 500 doing that, if they're willing to eat. If they're willing to eat. Overhead press, he did great today. He did great. He did something like, like 140, 145 for 9 reps. So we kind of come back over to that point, of a lot of coaches will argue the overhead press has amazing carryover to the bench. Well, his overhead press climbs and climbs and climbs, and yet his bench is still his weakest lift. All right, he's got pretty good sized delts. So we're at a point where I'm like, I think we're training your pressing muscles too much. We're possibly overtraining them. And that's a problem we run into, with intermediates in a transition phase. I always say intermediates can do the most sets and reps of anyone. And as they get more advanced, we have to tone it back down a little bit, right? And it's pretty normal to have to do that. And because advanced lifters, if working off percentages of their max, the tonnages start getting so high that it becomes problematic, right? And they can't recover from it always. So that's why you guys will notice some of my more advanced guys, we do a little bit less work. I do a little bit less work these days, because I've realized the value of doing that and to not push my volume so high. So in some cases, our reaching our goals sometimes requires us to do less, right? Because adding more work isn't always a solution. And I know that's controversial for me to say because of, again, conflicting studies and data. But I think the sum body of the research shows that as well. And the anecdote certainly shows it quite effectively in the strength world. But in his case, on overhead press day, we do back off work, assistance work with higher rep pressing. We do pull-ups, and then now I've added in dumbbell tricep extensions. Again, I wanted to change it up because he's weaker off the chest on his benching, and we do a lot of band press downs. Which arguably probably better for your lockout, but these stretch position movements will help your triceps fire harder off the chest. So that'll help carry over better to his bench where he's weakest at. And along with that, and then bringing his chest up will probably help. And like I said, I might take him to a 3-day where we pull the overhead press out completely, and in which case we'll just add tricep work like this at the end of the benching. All right, his deadlift, phenomenally well. He got 360 for 9. He got 360 for 9 reps on his plus set this week. So we're doing great there. I'm going to have to keep raising that training max up because we're working off a 425 training max. But, what's going to happen is 2 weeks from now in the same training cycle, he's going to end up pulling, 95% of that. He's going to get 5 reps. And when he does, it's going to be time to bump that training max yet again. Right? We got to keep taking it up because he's going to do that. Although he did admit this heavier set, we're getting the arm bend problem. And it's something that we're working on a lot, but he tends to resort back to it on his heaviest sets no matter what we do. And again, it's a bad ingrained habit, and it has to do with not staying tight enough, not getting tight enough, not wedging into the bar correctly. Right? He's getting better at wedging into the bar, but notice that he bends his elbows to do it on every rep. Okay, that's not desirable. This is a higher risk long-term for bicep tears. This is how people tear biceps. Deadlifting is not inherently dangerous for your biceps, even with a mixed grip. It's certain drug combinations that put you at risk, and then it's also doing, even for drug-free guys, doing what he's doing there. That's how you tear biceps. Now notice on his other rep work, it doesn't really happen, especially when I let him strap up. So it's just something that he has to continue to work on. And again, I'm not happy about it. He knows I'm not happy about it, but I'm not there in person to scream at him and slap him every time he does it wrong. Because that's how I've reinforced it. I have had a bro of mine who he'd say every time I do it, slap me in the face. And so I'd walk over on every rep and slap him because he tried to do it 5 times in a row. And then he'd quit doing it. Right? Problem solved. Like when you feel pain, you quit doing a thing. And in this case, if you don't have anyone to stop you, that you're going to feel that pain when you tear your bicep. And that is a real risk of it. That is our actual concern. If you don't have arm bend, it's not a concern for drug-free guys. You're never going to tear a bicep. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.